Let's bring back in our think tank. Still with us, Joseph Krowski Jr., Bob Bianchi, Dr. Sue Kornbluth. Dr. Sue, let's start with this question before we get into the legal aspect of what just happened here. The children, the biological children, the foster children, should these parents be reunited?
It's a very good question, Vinny. Look, I just wanted to know that I've done a lot of work in my career with foster children and wrote a book on it. So this whole story to me sounds really skeptical. And I don't understand for the life of me why any of this was dropped. I don't understand why further investigation wasn't done. I believe that they went into that home and did an investigation and saw that they were living in absolute filth. And I believe that Florida dropped the ball here. And no, I do not think they should be reunited.
All right, Joseph Krowski Jr., I want your take on what happened to these parents. They're locked up for 4 months, then the charges are just dropped. Like, this is unusual.
Stunning. Very unusual. You know, I practice up here in Massachusetts. It's a little concerning because Florida has a reputation of being draconian in its criminal justice system, disproportionately so towards blacks. Here we're dealing with a white, conservative, religious family. The prosecution concerning to me brought up that this is a family of faith. And what's more concerning is there was corroboration to a lot of these allegations from investigators. And it's a little bit breathtaking to hear them talk about worrying about the safety of children as they have one screwed by plywood into a cage underneath the bed. What happens if there was ever a fire in that location? They were living in squalor. It seems like the adopted children were being treated differently than the biological children. Something that's not lost on me either is the LDS Church is the largest landowner in Florida. You have to believe there was some internal or external pressures put on the district attorney's office in this case.
I guess that leaves me, Vinny. You know,
No, that's, I mean, go ahead.
For the life of me as a prosecutor, I'm trying to wrap my arms around the fact that I don't think any of us can answer this question, is before you go in and take the draconian action of removing children and confirming allegations where you have, again, the Division of Protective Services, one entity with a completely different role than prosecutors, which have a criminal law component, and they made a decision that probable cause existed to arrest and incarcerate pre-trial these individuals, and then say months later that every piece of evidence that we relied upon is unreliable. So that is just like either really shady or really inept. And whether it's inept in that they got it right the first time or they got it right the last time, we need a further investigation into this. And the bottom line also is that the Division of Youth and Family Services, as we would call it here, the Division of Custody and Protective Services, can still take action to separate the parents from these children here. But I think that a higher authority needs to make a determination on what the heck is going on with the malfeasance of prosecutors that make an arrest on something as serious as this and then say that these are good, law-abiding, and devout people, and that all these charges should just be dismissed and everybody should just go home, nothing to see here. In 30-plus years of a career as a prosecutor, I've never seen anything like this.
And I don't know if anybody's thinking about this, but whether they were freed or not, and they go home to these children, I hope to God these children have been removed, and Florida at least got that right, because these children who are in this home are going to have severe psychological effects either way for the rest of their lives. And I'm just thoroughly disgusted about this case, and that these children have not been protected, I feel like, in any way, shape, or form.
But Vinny, one last thing.
I just would have liked a more robust.
Let's just 1 second to say that maybe they got it right at the end, the prosecutors, and that these people didn't do these things. Well, they surely ruined these people's lives then by making these allegations, because they can have the charges dismissed and they can walk out of jail. But Joe will tell you as much as I will, their names are forever going to be in Google as being the people that did this. So no matter how you add this up, prosecutors didn't do the right thing here.
I think it's a case of public importance, and there should have been a more robust explanation of why they dropped the charges. They did mention the depositions. We have forensic interviews up here when there's young child alleged victims, and perhaps there was full, complete recantations from all of the complaining witnesses. But again, it still seems like there was enough corroboration from the early childhood investigators to have some of the charges stick. I mean, it looks like a cult to me.
My biggest question is, well, did they look into why they left Arizona and came to Florida? I'm interested in that, the circumstances there. I'm also interested in the circumstances of why anyone thought it's a good idea to have 9 children in a home that small, right? I mean,
I know. I'm glad you brought that up.
We only have about 10 seconds. We have 10 seconds, Dr. Sue. Go ahead. Final word.
I was going to say that's a great point that Vinny just broke up. What were all those kids doing in that small, dilapidated home? It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, being poor is not a crime, but then you're bringing children, 5 more children into all of that unnecessarily. All right, when we come back.